Assalamu alaikum and welcome to my class, the Journalistic Writing. Today we are going to move towards to grammatical sentence and structural sentence. These two important areas going to cover about 8 to 9 our meetings, and I would like to strongly advise you that you onto these areas hold yourself, okay, and don't be hasty, don't be jumpy, rather put yourself to lots and lots of readings and do some practice as well, unless your concepts are clear and you are ready for some mature writing. I would tell you that these are basically sentences. If you know the art of making effective sentences, then of course same sentences are going to move into your paragraphing and then of course into your discourse thing. So take my advice, give a little more attention, okay, and do lots of readings. You can check my handouts as well, and this is how I'm going to give you through these two areas an opportunity once again in your life to go through those things where you were lacking, and come towards effective and meaningful communication in the form of writing. Today's lecture, in grammatical sentence, I'm going to focus on parts of speech. Before I move towards parts of speech, I would ask you a few questions. Like, for example, what do you think is the difference between grammar and structure? I know the word grammar is scary. I mean, you might be wondering, why once again, after so many years of your education again, we are going to talk about it. Well, excuse me, this is something very important. And I would say this is something, which is going to give you a baseline, on which you can construct the whole, building of your writing skills. Okay, let's come back to our question. What's grammar and what's the difference between grammar and structure? Come on, you can take your time. Okay, look here. Before I, tell you the difference between grammar and structure, please keep one thing in mind, that there are certain patterns, upon which we, construct our ideas. And those patterns are, of course, very, very familiar and understood, in languages. If we are speaking English language, there are certain patterns, which I'm using. And of course, you are quite familiar with those patterns. And if I violate those patterns, of course, you will be confused. And there'll be a sign of question in your mind that, perhaps something is wrong. And this is how, we people, work. Compare, Urdu and English patterns. In English, we say, I eat food, or I eat a piece of bread. If you translate the same sentence, into Urdu language, मैं रोटी खाता हूँ. Come back to English sentence, I eat a piece of bread. Look, I'm using first subject, which is me, eat, which is my action, okay? And a piece of bread is the object. But in Urdu, what happens actually? First, I'm using subject मैं, okay? And the second is what? Second is not khata actually. Second is not eat actually. Second is what? Second is roti. So object is coming first, and then the third is what? Khata, the verb. So English pattern is subject first, verb second, object third. Now this is English pattern, okay? SVO. So English you can say is SVO language. Now Urdu. Urdu is not SVO. What is Urdu? Urdu is SOV. I mean first subject मैं, right? Then roti, object, and then khata, verb. So these are the patterns actually which we follow when we speak languages. All right. Now, coming back again to the same question, grammar and structure difference. Look, structure actually gives us these patterns. These are structures, which guide us. What should put first? What should come second? What should come third? Structures guide us. Or you can say the placement of words in a meaningful sentence actually is called, the study of structures. I repeat, the placement of words in a sentence meaningfully is called, the study of structures. Now, what is grammar? Grammar is totally different thing. Grammar is not structuring thing. Grammar is not putting words like, in meaningful order. It's something else. Let's take, 3 words. Same one which I just spoke about when I was comparing the patterns of Urdu and English. Now, let's say I is there, eat is there, and bread is there. If I, replace I with he, okay, again, the words are the same. He, eat, and bread. And in English pattern, subject is first he, verb is second, okay, as eat, and bread as object. So I eat bread. I replaced I with he, so he eat bread. Structure says, well, it's correct. Why? Subject is first, verb is second, object is third. He eat bread. Please, I need your attention. Structure says, well, it's correct. Subject first, he, verb second, eat, object third, bread. He eat bread. Now, that is what structure thing. Now, what's the role of grammar? Grammar will say, hey, come on. He eat bread. Something is wrong. Follow the rule. Now, what's the rule? Now, grammar is going to, give us the rule. Well, when you use he and eat together, you got to add S or ES with it. Why we use it, that's a different story. But S or ES added to eat. So, he eats bread. So, we see structure give us placement of words in a sentence, and grammar actually decides about the relationship of these words with each other. How he will affect eat, how eat will affect food. That's the role of grammar. So he affected eat. If I change again and bring I at the place of he, I eat bread. Grammar says, well, no problem. No need to change anything. I eat. Fine. But the moment I goes out and he comes in, he eat. No, use S-O-E-S, so he eats. So this is how, we see structure, the placement of words in a sentence, and grammar is what the relationship, between, these words, how they affect each other. So this is what actually is important to know about the difference so that, we could move ahead. To study language analytically, descriptively, what linguists do, they divide language into different levels. I repeat, analytical study and descriptive study. For this purpose, linguists divide language into levels, or you can say sub-levels even, so that we could really analyze language and could really learn from. Why we want to analyze language now? Of course, there are native speakers, for example, British English, okay? So they're the native speakers, okay? They can be the informants, for example. They can be, standard before us. So what we do actually, we describe their language, we analyze their language for our own study, for our own understanding, for our own use, okay? So what are those language levels and what we call them? Well, we call them language rank scale. And that's also the start of the story also. Language rank scale. Look, we have alphabet A, B, C, D to X, Y, Z, okay? And this A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z are symbols. What for? These are symbols to write. These are symbols to dress up our, ideas in mind. So you can say these are the symbols of writing, like the way we have symbols for speaking. Right. What are those symbols for speaking? The sounds. The symbols are the symbols for sounds. For example, E, or I, or A, or A, or A. All these are symbols, which when we speak, we use these symbols to describe these sounds. Exactly the same way A, B, C, D, E is what? These are symbols to write. So these symbols go onto paper, and the other symbols go into the air, to your listener's ear, and they go down onto the paper and in the form of book or newspaper or something else, like, of course, reach your readers. All right. So we have symbols, A, B, C. What we call them? We call them graphemes. So these symbols are called as graphemes, and sound symbols are called as phonemes. Don't forget these. This is interesting. So grapheme, A, B, C, D, E, O. These are sound symbols, they are phonemes. The study of grapheme is called graphology, and the study of phonemes is called phonology. Let's move up. You put these alphabet together to make words. Right or not? Yeah. You put alphabet together to make words. But before word, what you do actually? You make morphemes. What are morphemes? Morphemes are smallest words, or you can say smallest units of words. Basic, or you can say very elementary formation of words. The basic units, the smallest units. When, one or two or three, graphemes you put together to make small words. They are morphemes, and the study of morpheme is morphology. Then you combine morphemes and you make words. And the study of words is called lexicology. Then you put these words together and you make phrases. You put phrases together and you make clauses. What are clauses? Clause is one subject and one verb. When I was describing you the difference between, grammar and structure, and we talked about, the patterns, they were clauses. I eat food, you eat food, he eats food. These are clauses. Put phrases together and they are clauses. Put clauses together. What you do when you put two clauses together, three clauses together, you make sentences. All right, go up. Put sentences together. What you do? You make paragraphs. Now, phrases, clauses, and sentences. These three together, and the study of these three is, you can say syntax and semantics. There you study meanings, and there you study, structures. Go up. I said paragraphs. You put sentences together and you make paragraphs. And what is paragraph? Paragraphs are discourse. You have a topic in your mind, you have a context around that topic, and you generate ideas. So that's discourse. And, on and on. Let's again come down. I said alphabet together words, words together phrases, phrases together clauses, clauses together sentences, sentences together paragraphs, and paragraphs together discourse. This is what we call, the language rank scale. This is very important to understand. This is very, very important. And there actually the story starts from. Okay, we talk about speech. Now come down to, the actual point of today's lecture, parts of speech. We talk about speech. Speech can be divided into some parts. What are those parts? You know them. Okay, let me refresh your memories. Number 1, nouns. Number 2, adjectives. Number 3, verbs. Now you tell me the 4th one, adverbs. Oh yes. Number 5, prepositions. Number 6, pronouns. Number 7, conjunctions. And the last one, what did you say? Determiners. Oh yes. All right. So these are 8 parts of speech. We'll discuss, these 8 parts of speech one by one to understand actually, what are the meanings, and their definitions, some examples, and then onwards, we move towards then their use in, sentence making. First of all, nouns. What are nouns? Nouns are naming words. We use these words to describe people. We describe places. We describe things. For example, my name or your name. This place name or that place name where you are sitting. Or my pen or my chair, or my table, or your table, your chair, your pen, your items, your things, my things. So these are, all nouns. So they describe people, places, and things. They have different types, actually. Some nouns are common and some nouns are proper. Like chair, like table, like my pen, like my book, like my car. Now, these are, common nouns. Table, chair, car, room, clock, light. These are all, common nouns. Now, what are proper nouns? Now, not these actually, not this table, not that table, rather some specific table. The same way, not chair, some specific chair. Not teacher, some specific person, we are talking about that teacher. Not just student, specific student. I mean, not student Ali now, not teacher Imran now, not car, let's say Mercedes now, not room, let's say classroom now, or even not classroom, language classroom now. So this is how from common to proper. And of course, proper nouns, always take their letter first, uppercase letter. Names are all names like Imran, like Zishan, like Irfan, or Sarmad. These are all, proper nouns now. They can be boys, or they are girls, Aroma, Viola, but they're not common now, they are proper. So their first letter, goes up as uppercase. Nouns can be concrete. Nouns can be abstract. Now, what are concrete and abstract? Look, concrete nouns are which we can touch, we can see, we can sit with or next to. For example, again, chairs and tables, books, cars, these are all boys and girls. These are all what? These are concrete nouns. The abstract nouns are what? Abstract nouns we can see, we can touch, we can sit with or stand with. They are not visible actually, but yes, we can feel them. For example, pain, happiness, success, failure, beauty, for example, fragrance, love, hatred. Now, all these are such nouns which are abstract, actually abstract in nature. We can't see them. We, of course, can feel them. Nouns can be countable or uncountable. Look around you, how many things you can count or how many things you can't. I mean, you can't count pain, can you? Of course you can't. You can't count salt. You can't count sugar. But you can count how many people are sitting with you in your room. You can count how many books you have in your library. You can count, how many, let's say, pens and pencils, you have in your stationery box. You can count them. So these are, the types of, nouns with us. There is one more important noun that we call as collective noun. Now, collective noun is what? Collective noun, a word that, refers to group of things or people or places. So they talk about group as category. For example, class. Now, class is actually a group word. Inside class, we have, individuals. Class is a group. Committee. Now, committee is also a group word. It's a collective noun. Collectively, it refers to all those who are the members. There can be army itself is a collective noun. And so on. So these are types of, nouns. Let's move ahead now, and we have adjectives. What are adjectives? Adjectives are value words. Value words. And traditionally speaking, adjectives are words which qualify nouns. So we have adjectives which qualify nouns. So there's a close association of nouns and adjectives. Don't forget that. We use adjectives to make our nouns more specific, to make their meanings more limited, to narrow them down, to make them rather more concrete. For example, if I say boy, or I say good boy or bad boy. Now this good and bad actually is further illustration, description of the word boy as a noun. Good father, good mother. Now good actually is what? This is a value word for father and mother. So adjectives do what? They qualify nouns. They describe nouns. Okay. Now they are, how they come in our sentences. Adjectives usually come before nouns, as you have seen from my example, like good boy, good adjective, boy noun. So good coming first, boy coming second. This is how they come. Sometimes what happens, adjectives come after verb. For example, that boy is good. Now, I'm not saying he's a good boy. What I'm saying is that boy is good. Is our verb, and adjective is coming after is as a verb. So, that boy is good. After is, the word is coming good. So, that's another place of adjective, They can come before or they can come after. Please keep in mind, in broader sense, anything that describes noun in a sentence or a paragraph will be taken as adjective in broader sense. In narrower sense, we can have its different description, but in broader sense, they are all adjective. When I say my chair, chair is like, you can say a general item, but the moment I say my chair, it is no more your chair. So my is the quality of this chair, my. So you can say it's possessive adjective. Adjective, which describes possessive meanings. And of course, they are important in meaning expansion also. Like in my early classes, I talked about sentence expansion. And of course, we use adjective plus two or three more items to expand our meanings. Okay, let's go down to our third important, part of speech, which is what? Verb. What are verbs? Action. Whatever we do, action. Verbs. What I'm doing, even what you are doing, we are playing verbs. Not every time, you can argue with me that yes, and not every time verbs are actions. At times they are states also. You're right. Broadly speaking, they are actions. Now, verbs also have, their different types. And I would like to stress more upon verbs today because they are important and we need to understand them, thoroughly. The major type is some verbs, as you pinpointed, when I said verbs are action, you said, well, there are some verbs, which are not actions, they are state. Yes, you're right. So verbs are of two types. Some verbs describe actions and some verbs describe our states, our condition, in other words. When I'm eating something, it means that is my action. Okay, rather, let me give you another simple example. Like, I'm teaching English language. This is my action. I'm a language teacher. This is my condition. Look, please closely see it. There's a huge difference in these two sentences. When I say, I'm a language teacher. Look, verb is there inside. Am. Am is a verb. I am a language teacher. Am is a verb. And by using am as verb, I'm not talking about any of my action. What I'm talking about actually, my condition, my state, my being as teacher. But when I say I'm teaching English language, it means, this is my action actually teaching what? Of course, English language. Yeah, so this is what we call verbs two types. Some verbs describe action, some verbs describe condition. What are those verbs which describe condition? Look, all to be verbs. What is to be verb? Well, simple. Is, am, are, was, and were. These are to be verbs. They do what? They describe our conditions. They don't describe our actions. One more important category of condition verbs. All sense verbs, like, taste, smell, touch, all five, sense verbs, they are all condition verbs. I'll discuss it in detail a little ahead, but all sense verbs are condition verbs. Then some phrasal verbs. For example, will be, or has been, have been, can be, may be. The feelings, for example, they are also condition verbs. When you say I believe, or when you say I feel, I assume, I imagine, they are also, because when you say I imagine, it doesn't mean that you are doing any action. Or I feel, I think, that's a state, not an action. So these are condition. What? Once again, all to be verbs, is, am, are, was, and were, will be, shall be, has been, have been. These are condition verbs, not action verbs. Then sense verbs are also condition verbs. They don't describe any action. One example of sense verb as condition verb. When I say that I taste something or I smell something and I say it smells good or it tastes good. No, it smells good or it tastes good. What? It's not my action actually I'm talking about, nor is the action of that very thing. For I tasted a cake, it's not the action of that cake actually, it's being good. It's the cake is not performing any action actually. That is the very much quality of that cake. That is very much the feature of that cake, the condition of that cake, the state of that cake, thing. So no action, just condition. Smells good. You smell, it smells good. Now what is this? No action, condition. Yeah, you can argue with me that Imran, look, you are smelling it. When you say, I smell. Okay, yes, smell is a sense verb. When I use it this way, I smell. No, this is my action, but it smells good. The bottle in my hand. When I say I smell. Now, this is my action, fine. But the moment I say, it smells good. No, that is the, condition, the state of the perfume, for example, the bottle of perfume holding in my hand. So that is the difference. I'm a teacher. I'm not talking about my action. I'm talking about my condition. You are my student. I'm not talking about your action. I'm talking about your condition. So this is how, condition verbs and action verbs, go. Now, the second one, some verbs, they are complete in their meanings and some are incomplete. Technically, we call them transitive and intransitive verbs. Transitives are, please keep in mind, transitives are those which are incomplete in their meanings, and intransitives are those which are complete. They don't need any extra word, actually, to convey or communicate their full understanding. When I say incomplete, as I said, incomplete means those verbs need one more word with to convey full meanings. For example, when I say children laughed, the second form of laugh, the children laughed. Now, the laughing thing is a verb which is complete in meanings. We fully understand what, the writer said. The children laughed. No, the laughing doesn't need any more word to convey a full idea. But take the example of some verbs which not this way convey full meanings. For example, I desire. Now, what I desire? I need something more to convey my idea. Take one more example. He is. Look, is a verb. He is. No, add something more to convey full meanings. Take one more example, interesting one. Two verbs, rise and raise. Now, rise, if I ask you, rise, what you gonna do? You will at once stand up. I'll say, wow, yes, you follow. Rise, you stand up. Don't they say rise for national anthem? But that for is something else. For is the reason, not the part of rise, actually. Even if they say rise, everybody will stand up. But if I say raise, now you're waiting. That Imran will add one more word, to complete idea. And then, of course, then you follow. Raise. You're waiting. Excuse me. Question will come from your side. What should I raise? Oh, sorry. Raise your hand. Then, of course, you'll raise your hand. Now, rise is a verb which is complete in meaning. It's intransitive. Doesn't need any more word to convey full idea. Raise is something which is incomplete, transitive. It needs one more word, 2 word, 3 word, accordingly to, convey idea. So raise your hand. Your hand, this verb needed actually to convey information. So this is what we call transitive and intransitive. Well, there are some more types of verbs. I would call them 3 very important technical types which I would ask you learn today. We call them lexical verbs. Please note down. Lexical verbs. Number 2, auxiliary verbs. Number 3, modals. Yes, you are right. These are quite common, Every day we, hear about these 3 things. These 3 verbs every day in classes. Oh, yes, you're right. Now, what are lexical verbs? Well, lexical verbs are our main, actual, concrete verbs. When I say I'm teaching, when I say I'm playing, I'm eating, I'm dancing, I'm watching, these are our lexical verbs. This playing thing, teaching thing, watching thing, reading thing, all these are lexical verbs. Now, what are auxiliary? When I add, let's say, is MR with it, that I teach, teaches am thing, is thing, are thing, was and were, has and have. These are actually auxiliary verbs. I teach. Now, the word teach is which verb? Lexical verb. When I add is with it, I am teaching. Okay, now there are 2 verbs in it. Please keep in mind, when 2 verbs come together, we call phrasal verb or verb phrase, okay? The later one is more appropriate, verb phrase. Now, in this verb phrase, now we have 2 verbs. One is and second is teaching. Now, teaching goes where? As lexical verb, and is auxiliary verb. I'm teaching. You're listening. Now, listening actually is your lexical verb, and are is your auxiliary verb. Is MR, was and were, has and have. These are your auxiliary verbs. Do also, does also, did also. They are also auxiliary verbs. You use auxiliary verbs to, of course, add more meanings to your verb. Verbs are complete, that's not an issue. We are, like in previous understanding of, transitive and intransitive, there we studied that some verbs are complete and not, but here that's not an issue actually. We are adding more verbs, maybe to mention difference of time perhaps, like is present, was is past. So, let's go down to our 3rd type, very, very important type of verb. We call them modals. What are modals? They express your moods. They express feelings, of course, and they also make a verb phrase. For example, when I say, I can swim. Now, our lexical verb is swim, and I'm adding can with the lexical verb to convey rather more precise meanings. Now, what is can? Can is now a modal, mood. Now, there are 8, perhaps. I'll count and then tell you the exact number. Like can and could, may and might, will and would, shall and should, and then must. How many? These are 7, 8, moods. They add extra meanings to make our message more appropriate, more specific. Now, let's see when we add these moods to our verbs, what meanings we are adding to actually. Like I use the word swim. I can swim, I could swim, I may, I might swim. I will, shall swim. I, should or would swim, or I must. See, meanings are changing. Can swim and may swim and will and shall and should and would and must, meanings are all together changed. All right. Can as a model. Can shows your ability. I can swim. And could shows your ability in the past. I could swim. Like you when I was young. So it shows your ability in the past. May. May shows probability. Probability means likely to. Okay? Like I may swim. I mean, maybe like after a second or a minute, I change my mood and jump into pool. So, probability, possible. Yes, it's possible, probability. Maybe I may swim, depends on my mood. And might is what? Again, probability in the past. In the past context. When I say past, the past context, sometime before. What is will? Well, will is future. Not past, not present, future will. I will swim. Not today, I'm not feeling well. Tomorrow, I'll do it. So it's tomorrow, the coming, the next, future. What is would? Yes, it's slightly different meanings. Would is condition. Now, for example, if he asked me, I would swim. Otherwise, no. So, would describes condition. See, if you compare will and would, will is like, plan is altogether changed. Tomorrow, not today. Would is what? Well, if he asked me, I would. It's a condition. If condition. Let's go ahead. Shall. Okay? Shall is sort of, there you may, come in a dialogue with me that, well, you have studied before that with IN we use shall, and with he, she, it we use will. Yeah, I agree with you. That's what actually the case is. But in British English, in American English, what we do actually, we use I, we, he, she, everything, with will also and with shall also. The difference will be what? With will, common meanings. With shall, little meanings with little more stress actually. Like, do we say zarur? That meanings, Yeah, in British English, what we do actually, we swap will and shall. At the place of I shall, we use I will. So the meaning zarur meanings, definitely. That kind of meanings we add to. So what is shall? Shall is also future, but little more stressed future. With absolute feelings, future. I shall. You shall. What is should? Well, you should swim. Yeah, I should swim. This is an advice. And finally, must. Must is an obligation. Come on, you must do it. This is your obligation. So, you see, these moods add meanings to your verbs. So far, what you have seen in verbs, that verbs are what? Verbs are what you say, transitive and intransitive. You have seen, verbs are in, there are 3 technical, categories of verbs also. Lexical verb, auxiliary verb, and modal. as verb. Helping verbs, you also call them. Okay. Verbs, are found in different forms also. Like you must have studied in your, in some classes in your, let's say high school or, middle school, that there are 3 forms of verb. For example, go, went, and gone. I would say there are 5 forms of the verb. Well, 3 are the same. I'm going to add 2 more, so that would be a complete set of those verbs. Okay, form number 1, base form. Number 2, infinitive. Number 3, present participle. Number 4, past form of the verb. And number 5, past participle. Let's again take the same example which I gave you before. Go, went, and gone. Let's add 2 more, verbs with it and complete the package. I said first form is base. So go, G-O, go will be the base form. And then infinitive, I said, is the second form, to go. Go, to go. 2 forms. And third one, I said present participle. And that is what? Going. So go, to go, going. And fourth one is the past, simple past form of the verb, went. And last one is past participle, gone. Now the full package is go, to go, going, went, and gone. These are 5 forms of the verb. There are 2 more technical words we use towards these forms, and they are finite and infinite. Well, they are about, form change and form fixation. Like some forms are, fix in the in the nature. For example, the base form go, it doesn't change. Okay, and take the example of ing form, going, it doesn't change. And look, infinitive, to go, it changes. Where it changes into past, which is what? Went. So to go is changing, and went can go further into gone. So it means out of these 5, 2 change. And how about the gone, the last past participle? It also doesn't change. So out of these 5 forms, 2 forms change. We call them finite. And the 3 forms, they don't change. We call them infinite. So this is what, the verb forms are. Let's now, stop this here and move towards adverbs, the 4th part of speech. Adverbs are what? Like we studied adjective for nouns, exactly the same way adverbs are for verbs. Be very careful about adverbs. They are naughty. They can exist almost anywhere in a sentence. And there are many, And the use is also at times confusing. Why? Because adverbs not only describe verbs, we use adverbs to describe adjectives also. We use adverbs to describe adverbs also. So be careful. You really need a little more, care, learning these adverbs. Now, let's see their types. Well, adverbs describe time. These are types, actually. Adverbs for time, adverbs for places, adverbs for manner, adverbs for frequency also. Now, these are 4 major, types of adverbs. Let's discuss them one by one. The first one, time adverbs. Look, when I say no, when I say then, when I say today and tomorrow, for example, when I say afterwards, what actually I'm talking about? I'm talking about the time thing. So this is what actually are examples of time adverbs. No. Not now, then. These are adverbs for time. Second place, when I say here or there or everywhere, this is an example of place adverb. I mean, if I'm teaching here, no, the word teaching here, now here specifies my word teaching more. So the here is actually an adverb showing what? Place. Okay. Third one, adverb for manner. Manner means, how I'm doing it, how you are doing it. When I say he's running fast. He's learning it quickly. He's doing it quickly. Now, the word quickly, he's doing it differently. I'm doing it differently. So these differently, fast, quickly, these, words describe how, describe the manner. He hit the ball hard. Now, the word hard actually is what? Hard describes how he hit. Hit is the verb, and hard is for the verb, and hit, verb, hard is the manner of that hit. So this is how, adverbs describe what? They describe the manner also, manner of action actually. Fourth one is frequency. Frequency, like words like these, never, always, occasionally, seldom, rarely, usually, sometimes. These are adverbs of frequency. When I say I never smoke, no, I smoke, I never smoke. Never is a frequency. I always study in the morning. I study in the morning. I always study in the morning. It means I never study in the evening. Someone may presume. Okay, so I always study in the morning, early morning. No, this always word is actually a frequency word. Same way you can use word seldom, you can use word rarely, you can use word occasionally, you can use word sometimes. So these are frequency, words. I said before that adverbs also describe adjectives. For example, if I say, he's a smart boy. Or if I like to rather intensify the word smart, I would like to add, let's say, very. He's a very smart. No, very thing is what? Very is describing smart. Smart is describing the boy. Now, smart is an adjective for the boy. Noun. What's very actually? Very is not an adjective. Very is what? Very is an adverb describing adjective, and then adjective further describing, the noun. So very as an adverb is qualifying smart. Smart as an adjective is further qualifying noun. So directly, adverb is also describing adjective, and indirectly, don't you think adverb is describing noun also? That's why I said, be very careful about the use of adverbs. Now, this ends our our discussion on four very important, parts of speech. I would like to recapitulate for you. The first one we studied today was what? Nouns and then adjectives as their qualities. And the third one we studied, verbs and then adverbs. These four. By the way, out of all the 8, parts of speech, these 4, which I gave you as one set, they are called picture words. These 4, nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs, they are picture words. The remaining 4, which we are going to study in our next class, they are function words. And these 4 are really, really important. Why? Because these 4 also change their forms and go into each. For example, noun can be changed into verb, can be changed into adjective, can be changed into, adverb also. For example, the word differ, to differ is a verb, difference is a noun, differently is an, let's say, adverb. So I mean, take one more example. To pay is a verb. Payment is a, what, noun. Pay is also noun. So they move into each other as well. And they play a very important part in giving you an idea to improve your vocabulary fast. When I say they change their form, they go into each other, noun into verb and verb into adverb. Look here, I would say count, your words which you have recently, learned by heart. You would say, well, I learned, 50 words. And I would say, okay, in just split second, I'll change those 50 words into 200. Or if not 200, near 200. Same thing. I'll see nouns, I'll try to change them into, verbs also, and then verbs into adverbs, and adverbs into adjectives, if possible. So this is how you expand your vocabulary as well. If you know 500 words, you can change into near 2000. Same way. See, if verb you learned, see what's its noun also, how to change it into noun. See how to change the same into, adverb. As you know, that usually we add ly, at the end of, let's say, adjective, and that becomes adverb. For example, different is an adjective. You add ly, becomes differently. Sincere is an adjective, and add ly becomes sincerely. So this is how, you see, this is how these 4 picture words, move into each other. One more important point about picture words. When we speak these picture words, I mean, when we utter a sentence, of course, a sentence, again, is composed of some picture words, some action words. When I say he's a good boy, for example, good is adjective, boy is a noun. He and is, what are these? Now, out of 8 parts of speech, he and is, he as pronoun, is as helping verb. They perform the function of your sentence, and good and boy, they perform, they, give you the picture, of your sentence. What I want to tell you is that when we speak a sentence or utter a sentence, we always give stress more on the picture words because they convey our main idea. You must have learned or heard, about the same thing in your language classes, that contract your, function words. Instead of saying he, has, he and has, you can contract he's. But picture words, we never contract, So stress always goes on to the picture words. This is another important, concern about. And last piece of advice, if you are interested in improving your words, so try the same thing. And this I'll play with you also in my one coming lecture. There, you would see how we are, moving from, these, different parts of speech, from noun to, adjectives, and adjectives, to adverbs and, verbs, etc. and etc. So if you are interested in, language learning, so be very, very careful about these, factors which I, explained today. And final advice is that don't be hasty towards these 4 important parts of, speech. Hold yourself, as I told you in the beginning, hold yourself, have some books around you, go through these books, clear your concepts, practice, these 4 parts, put these, 4 parts in your sentences and see, how they function. And, this is how you can clear your concepts. My dear students, now in my next class, I would talk about 2 important things. Number 1, the remaining 4 parts of speech which are going to describe the function of sentences. And number two, we will formally, move towards understanding sentence and basic clause patterns and how to expand our sentences. And then, onwards, we'll talk about types of sentences. With this, I leave you here. See you in my next class. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.